traders, with the
but they
business
seem not
community.
to be informed about
Indeed, because on our part, we acknowledge that maybe the information has not yet gotten down to the respective or to the target audience, such that we can understand each other. But at the same time, as an implementer of what is given to us as laws to administer, we are short on what we can do in regard to changing these laws, because we are actually implementing it the way it was handed down to us. Some of the issues that traders have put across to the URA are largely policy, and URA is a policy implementer, not a policy formulator. And so that is why you see in many of the cases we have consulted. We have given advice, because that's within the environment, within the confines of the mandate of the URA. Give advice to the minister on what we think the market, the business community needs, what we think is workable, what we think is practical. That advisement we give. But then there are those where the requirement and the expectations from the business community and on us calling, making the last call, especially in terms of not implementing what the law has required of us. On that, we do not have the authority. If it's a legal matter, if it's a legislative matter, we know Parliament can give us advice. And we've seen it happen. I'll remind you, around 2023, traders were not happy with the taxation on the VAT application on agricultural inputs for poultry feeds. And we went to Parliament and the ministry, and we got advice and we got a directive, and the change happened. It is the same case, different circumstances, but nearly similar scenario here. If we get that guidance, well and good, we will follow suit. But as per the current status quo, the URA, I think the Commissioner General has been clear on what is expected of the institution, the URA, and we are trying to follow through on that until we get further guidance.
Okay. Maybe Mr. Abdul, let me get to you. You have finally started the strike. You finally started it off, and you were hoping to meet the president last week, but that did not happen. But so you decided to continue, because I think we had one the other Monday, then officially starting it this particular week. What again? Can you again reoccur for us the causes of this particular strike, so that we can build from there?
First of all, I would like to thank the business community for standing with us, because we couldn't fight this battle when we don't have them in support. So we know we are going through hard times, and we have a lot of challenges coming in. We have a lot of issues rising, but they have decided to put down all their businesses, to close down their shops, just to see that they can achieve for the next goal. When I was here last week, I think, and we mentioned it right, and we said that at some times we may be blaming some parties, but when they are not key in hand on the issues we have. As the business community, we have engaged several times with multiple concerned agencies. URA, we've been with them so much. The different ministries, we've been with them so much. And we all come to reach a consensus. But the challenge we have, when we agree upon something, implementation is done otherwise. I gave you a scenario that we met the Commissioner General at UMA, that big meeting we had of the business community, and he guided. He said, if you are not issuing the EFRIS receipt, please issue a receipt showing the name of the business, the location. Then we shall say yes, you proceed and go. But when we came back from that meeting, the implementation was different. Everyone was stopped, and the people doing the implementation, they don't want to listen on to anything. The moment you don't have the EFRIS receipt, they are going to compound your goods. I personally, I once called my comrade here when we had issues. One of our member things were just, they were actually in transfer shop to shop, and they were taken by the implementing people down.
So that is true
at Chikubo. So the implementation is really not so best. And we don't know that if we meet the Commissioner General, if we meet different stakeholders, and we come onto agreement onto something, why is the implementation done differently?
Okay.
This is why
I have a question, briefly as you continue. I happened to engage someone. He's actually a border person. I thought it was just border jazz, but he told me if you get stuff from one shop to another, trust me, at any given time they will grab you. So is that true or not?
It is true. It is true. Day by day we are getting concerns raising, matters coming in. The more we meet with URA, the harder the implementation is made. We don't know. Should we run away from any meetings with the different stakeholders? Because when we come and meet with the URA team, the following day the implementation is going to be hard. And all these concerns, this is why the traders are saying no. This is why the traders are saying no.
Okay. Maybe Mr. Michael, if you can help me clarify if it is really true, if that is the kind of implementation on ground.
Okay.
But also, I want to hear your response in terms to this these days so far. When we're in strike, what has been your response so far?
Yes, first on the clarification that we need to make, that EFRIS is not a tax. EFRIS is not a tax. EFRIS is a monitoring tool, both for your business as an enterprise and for the Uganda Revenue Authority for revenue monitoring. So it depends on where you're sitting and then the value that you need to see EFRIS bring to your part. Mainly, we needed to ask ourselves, why was it implemented? One, value-added tax that, as we have it in Uganda, is performing at approximately this more 15% in revenue contribution compared to the other tax heads. Yet, when you look around the ESC, the East African Community, our peers are around 30%, so they are collecting like double the tax that we are collecting. And it is largely a consumer tax, a consumption tax. It is the person who is at the end of using or buying a product for use that actually pays it. And when you buy items from a wholesaler as a shop owner, you pay VAT, and when the item is in your shop, this person to whom your final customer who buys it, you charge them VAT. So you give URA the VAT that you've charged your customer, and URA reduces that tax that you should be bringing to URA from the customer by the VAT that your wholesaler charged you. So that is the mechanism. And for us to be able to be fair and track this mechanism, we needed EFRIS to be in place for fairness. But it also explains the challenge that our traders have had. Within the discussions that we've been having, our traders will tell you, why are you only and only taxing me? I pay income tax, I pay value-added tax. Within the items, there is local excise duty, among other things. And in broader discussions, we've had that discussion of revenue or tax base widening or deepening. Am I going to tax Abdul that I see here more? Or am I going to create an opportunity to bring other people in the tax net? You get it? And that is basically what EFRIS has been intended to do. Now, that takes me to this other issue of the mechanism of implementing it and the high-handedness that has been talked about within our enforcement activities. In cases where this has rubbed people the wrong way, it is very, very regrettable, I need to say. We do not have to operate a revenue regime where the taxpayer or the operators in the ecosystem have inconveniences that fail them from effectively going around their business. It interrupts everyone. And the less business a taxpayer has, the less tax they have. I mean, we all know that if there is no profit, there is no income tax. We all know if there is no sale, there is no value added tax, because it is a transactional tax, so to say. So in the discussion and in the meeting that was held with the Minister of Trade yesterday, the Minister of Finance, our leader in the Uganda Revenue Authority, the Commissioner General, was there. I took out, among the many points that were discussed and the action points, was the need for the Uganda Revenue Authority to revisit its compliance enforcement mechanism. Okay, that is one. And two, to enhance the tax education activities. That notwithstanding, we have done intensive taxpayer education in the Kampala Central Business District and across the country. Since August 2023, we have been physically present every month, every week within the Kampala CBD. I will tell you, we've visited over 110 arcades. We've had to meet, physically with around 1,500. Okay, 15,000. Allow me to correct that. 15,000 traders and business community operators, still to help them, hand-holding around 400 in Chikubo alone. And that assistance maybe did not sink in very well, or maybe the people didn't feel very supported. And this, we've had the directive and the guidance of the Commissioner General to set up a service support office inside the CBD. And that we are going to do, just to bring this service closer. Why are we saying CBD, the Kampala? EFRIS is countrywide, but why are we saying this area? It is partly because it is the biggest source of all the merchandise that spreads across the country. And if you do not make it right where most of these items are sourced, then it means the people who buy items from the Chikubo, from wherever, Nabugabo, and everywhere across the CBD, Chiseka, and so on, it means they will not be able to claim their VAT from URA, because where they bought, there was no EFRIS. So where you buy, if you buy things and where you are bought, there is no EFRIS, it means you cannot go to URA and you claim your VAT credit. So it's partly the reason, but we know there are other Vikubos. There is Chikubo in Masaka. There are many Vikubos as you go to Kasangati, Mpererwe, as you break into Boyogerere. As you step out of the city, there are many other Vikubos that have cropped out since COVID. And so we know this, and we are trying to intensify the support lines, the support platforms, train. I'll tell you, when we were launching EFRIS 4 years ago, 2020, we were entering into COVID. At the start, we were asked as URA, okay, you've launched it 1st July 2020. But we can't, it's an automated system. We can't learn it in just a day. Give us 3 months. Okay, we said, okay, until 30th September, we will expect everyone to have learned how to use this system. So we booked sessions in Hotel Africana. We invited all those taxpayers who on value-added tax on Sendaola Hall, many places, Makerere University, because people needed to have access to the labs and do this practically. We invited traders in there. But even by 30th September, it wasn't enough awareness. That is 2020. And then we broke into, they asked through Uganda Manufacturers Association and KACITA and other trading communities. They asked for an extension of another 3 months. So we pushed it to December. And still the awareness did not take or drive the uptake as expected. We've continued to train and assist taxpayers along the way, but there have been those gaps and challenges, being a technology, and that we surely appreciate. But the discussion is, I think, on how do we progress going forward from here. and how do we assist each other, because as URA, there is a mandate to fulfill. As a business operator, they need to operate under the best circumstances possible. And right now, the discussion that we are having is how do we meet in the middle so we can forge forward. I am glad the papers have been talking about a meeting with the president. I mean, there are meetings that are ongoing right now among the business leaders and our leaders in the URA, the Ministry of Trade and Ministry of Finance. If we can have that kind of concerted effort and discussion, I'm very sure this will only be a mere blip. We will walk over it and see the next day.
Okay. So, Mr. Abdul, what impact or how has the strike impacted the business community so far?
For the business community, as I started on earlier, our sales are totally down, and I don't think anyone sold anything yesterday, especially for the people who closed out their shops. So that means they are depending on the earlier saved funds. But when I respond to my brother Michael when he said that they have done the EFRIS training for the last 4 years. For the last 4 years, we had the COVID break. From the COVID break, why do you think that the traders are saying no at this particular time? Because if they are saying no to implementation of EFRIS, that means they have not been engaged. I think, and our prayer is, and we shall continue saying that, all the challenges affecting the business community still come back to the different stakeholders. To the URA, we are saying how to the enforcement of EFRIS at this particular time. Let us first move and have a thorough training on how the EFRIS is going to be of benefit to the business community. Some of us, we may know, some of us who have done accounting, we may understand that the EFRIS is a good system. But down to the traders, if you mention anything that EFRIS is a good system and they term you to be a leader, that means you have been compromised. So we are saying you are first out down, because these things wouldn't be happening. The business community wouldn't shut down if our requests submitted to the different stakeholders have been addressed. We wouldn't have closed down. But people are closing down just because they are showing what is really hurting them most. Yes.
Okay.
So URA, our prayer is you first halt down the implementation of the EFRIS system. Then we shall come back on ground and say, how are we going to train? How are we going to make the information dispersed down to the traders? Because now for us, we are when you mention that the EFRIS, that means you're saying an increase in commodities. Because now the person you're implementing EFRIS to is saying, no, I'm not eligible. I'm not a VAT collector. So how do you expect me to? That means we are going to increase the prices of the commodities. And this is what the traders are saying. Increasing the taxes, the commodities, and that will lead to low sales. Because when the commodities, when the prices go high, that means the sales are going to lower. Yes.
Now, in simple terms, Mr. Michael, what is the purpose of EFRIS? In simple terms.
Yes. Now, EFRIS is a value-added tax monitoring tool. It monitors if you go to a manufacturer and you buy cartons of water, that manufacturer will, in addition to the price that they want to tax you, to charge you for those cartons of water, they will add value-added tax on that price. So items that could have been 900,000, they will be increased by 18%, and maybe they will cost you 1 million. So you've added 100,000 as value-added tax to the initial amount, and then the total cost is 1 million shillings. We are asking the manufacturer, give this trader an electronic invoice for that total amount of 1 million, such that we have evidence and trusted evidence that you have charged them value-added tax. I hope you get me at that point.
I get you.
We want concrete evidence that this transaction has happened. It is what is required in the law. And now when you as a trader get to sell these items to your customers, the expectation is also, like the manufacturer gave you an electronic invoice, you also need to give an electronic invoice to the person to whom you are selling and charge them value-added tax. So we want to see exactly the transaction that the manufacturer conducted with you with a clear electronic receipt, and we also want to see the charge and the transaction that you conducted with the customer who bought from you. Why? Because the VAT which the manufacturer charged you, URA can credit it back to you. You get it?
Oh.
Yes, it's credited to you. And you as a trader, you have to give URA the VAT that you charged your customer. But you see, this cannot happen if we are not sure that the transaction actually happened. Or because we've seen elements, I mean, there have been many scenarios of forged invoices and so on. So that's why this electronic platform was created, where we can have end-to-end confidence and trust in the transactions that are being reported, on which at times URA has to refund monies to people's bank accounts and so on. Now, if your manufacturer charged you more VAT than the VAT you have charged your customer, then it takes you into a position of you having what we call an offset or a claim that URA has maybe to refund you this money. Okay? But where you charge URA, I mean the customer, more VAT. For example, you charge the customer VAT of 150,000. Yet the manufacturer charged you VAT of 100,000. It means you charged your customer more VAT than the manufacturer who charged you. The difference is there is what, 50,000? So it's the only VAT that you pay as the shop owner.
Maybe if I can interrupt, Michael.
Yes.
Then we are saying, what about someone who has taken goods on credit and he has not paid? He has not paid for the goods taken, but actually the goods have been taken, and have not issued a receipt, but in transit, the client is stopped. They ask for the receipt.
Yes, thank you very much. Because you've seen the URA implementing the Empower E-Receipt campaign. It was a campaign largely, we've implemented this for the past 2 years. It climaxed towards the end of last year. And the purpose was to drive the customers, the general public, to demand that when I buy from you as a shop operator, give me my electronic receipt. So we're driving a customer or consumer or public-driven campaign and demand for receipts from the people who are selling to them, because the URA had noted that having given out and rolled out platforms like electronic fiscal devices, some of them were given out free of charge, but they were not actually being used. Some of the operators were reluctant still to issue electronic invoices. So what the URA was endeavoring to do was to drive the demand for electronic receipts from customers. Now, yes, it is agreeable that there is inconvenience in a way on the customer if you demand them for a receipt for items that they have bought. But this, I think, takes two to tango in this case. If you are a trader and you would like your customer maybe not to be inconvenienced, it is also good, or it is also required of you in this case, to give them the document that will allow them a smooth sail on their journey to their shop. Because you do, or you deny your client an electronic receipt, well knowing they will be interrupted on the way. So why is there that reluctancy to give this customer that electronic receipt? If you know you are not VAT registered, and the EFRIS solution is not compulsory on your part, just issue a normal receipt, the one that the Commissioner General talked about, where your details as a seller are very clear and the details of the buyer are very clear. We are talking about it only in the context of electronic receipting and value-added tax, but you not giving this customer that receipt denies them even an expense claim at the end of the year, because expense claims, even whether they are via EFRIS or not, can only be accepted by URA where they have evidence of having been made, and that receipt is that evidence that you need. So the interruption or the inconvenience that is happening on the customer is partly to tickle you as a seller to give what your customer actually needs to do, and for our part to also confirm that the people who are operating here who are VAT registered are actually issuing electronic receipts as required.
Yes. Maybe Abdul, if you can come in, how inconveniencing is this? Because now the issue is supposed to do with a seller, but now it is the buyer, the customer, who's being stopped.
I think what URA is trying to do, URA is just saying some people out of business, like the EDB in our street language. Because now, if a one EDB comes to Hakim's shop and they request for, let me say, a pair of jeans, and they have taken this jean, they have taken 2 pieces, but to show a certain client who they have seen on the street, and you are telling me to issue the e-receipt. At the end of the day, the end user they are going to show the product has not bought. So these things are returned back. But I have already issued the receipt, and the receipt has stated the amount to be the amount which has been paid and the 18% he's speaking about. So at the end of the month or at the end of the financial year, they are going to ask me for this 18% on even a commodity which has not been paid for. This is why I asked, and I have not gotten a clear response, my brother Michael, that goods taken on credit. Someone has come, purchased goods, like because these things happen. Someone supplies in March, and they pay in end of April, or they pay early May. But I issued the receipt in March. So where am I going to get this 18% to pay for the receipt on goods I have not been paid for?
Wow.
Okay. Yes, thank you very much. This takes us back to the value-added tax itself and its inner workings as a tax that EFRIS monitors. One, for a person who is conducting many of your sales as credit sales, but you find your cash flows may not be able or may not enable you to clear taxes within time, there is a window. If your sales are below 500 million in a year, you can apply for cash accounting. The cash accounting facility is there in the Value-Added Tax Act, where you are allowed to only declare transactions on which you have actually been paid. But that's only available for taxpayers who are having a turnover of 500 million and below. So it's available. It also applies in the recent amendments to 2 years ago for persons who have made supplies to government agencies. You may supply to government today on credit. We will not count that transaction to have happened, and we will not expect you to pay taxes on that until the government has actually paid. In the month of payment, then you can declare the transaction and make the payment. So where this is in any way disturbing or inconveniencing, we can apply for the cash accounting facility. It is available and it will be given to you. But the default set in the Value Added Tax Act, and I would like to make reference to this because if you give URA the leeway to relax the law as it pleases, it is going to open a can of worms, because it means officers will have the leeway to at times relax or flex the tax law whichever way they please on the convenience of a client or their convenience, which is and that's why we kind of try to follow the law that's been given to us, and where we have to relax it, we need the guidance of the people who gave it to us, who handed us the law. And that is basically it. In the set of the Value Added Tax Act, we look at a transaction and we consider it to have happened, and we expect tax to be paid on that transaction. If any of the three happens, whichever happens first is what we consider. One, the goods have been delivered to the customer. The moment goods leave your shop and they go to the customer, and they are delivered to the customer, and maybe they are starting to put it to use, a transaction has happened. When a payment is made, or when an invoice is issued, when any of those three happens, the Value Added Tax Act considers a transaction to have happened: the payment, the delivery, or the invoicing for those particular items. Now, those three are the first indicators of a transaction having happened and the URA expecting tax. But like I'm saying, if you find the three uncomfortable, inconveniencing, and your sales in a year are below 500 million, apply for cash accounting. That facility is there, such that URA only considers your transactions where you have actually received or expensed cash. Yes.
Mr. Abdul, have you gotten a response yet?
That response, that response. You know, now when URA is explaining those things, VAT in, VAT out, you will enjoy the story. But when it comes to the implementation, it is a different thing. Because if we could hear at least some success stories of people who have been credited back the VAT which has been paid, at least we would have we would feel okay onboarding to the new system. But we are not ready for now as the business community. I will say it out.
On the readiness part, Mr. Abdul, sorry, apologies for interjecting. We are going to make, it's a commitment. I work with the team in tax education. We are going to do our best to re-engage, and it's going to be intensive and massive. My only request to the business community is when we come around, kindly attend, kindly participate. I will tell you, you get a venue for 100 people, you're in an arcade. I have been through the business areas. You get a venue for 100 people and you only receive 20, 30, 40. Okay? Yes, we are using your taxpayers' money to hire the venue. Yes, we are using your taxpayers' money to mobilize. Kindly attend and let us know what it is. When we come to your shop, some don't have they can't leave their shops to come. But when you get to the shop and you get there, they will tell you, I'm also a customer. They will tell you, I'm also a customer, I'm waiting for the business owner. And as you are a person moving door to door to teach people about this, you may not wait for 30 minutes. You go to the next shop until you find someone who is courteous to listen to you. I'll tell you, we've engaged with some who have been courteous enough to listen, to ask some very hard questions, and they have found a way, a way out. I will tell you again, when you look, yesterday was 16th, the first day, Monday was 15th. It was the end of month filing period. The VAT payers you and value added tax, people are filing returns. But those who conducted their transactions on EFRIS, they found their automatic tax credits there. All the value added taxpayers who had been conducting their transactions on, they found their tax credits already there under EFRIS. So if you would like maybe to get some of the, I can't divulge taxpayer details and because of the confidentiality requirements on me as a public officer, but there are people who get their tax credits. And when an assessment right now is coming to you as a taxpayer, after you file a return, you file a return and it will show you have to pay maybe 1 million shillings. It will prompt you and it will ask you the system, would you like to use your tax credit of 400,000 to reduce this 1 million? If you want, you say yes. And the bill, which was 1 million, will automatically become 600,000. Because your credit on the VAT that was claimed from another transaction where you purchased is being used to reduce on the tax that you have to pay.
Wow.
Thank you very much.
Very interesting. I think it is very important. The ongoing strike has brought up very many discussions, and a part of them is what we are doing here right now. But we're going in for a very short break and return with more.
Issues at hand, powered by
Protea Hotel by Marriott Entebbe. Comfort and luxury at its best.
Issues at hand, powered by
Protea Hotel by Marriott Entebbe. Comfort and luxury at its best.
Comfort and luxury at its best. That is Protea Hotel by Marriott in Entebbe, gearing us up here in the discussion we are in, of course, about the ongoing strike by the traders in Kampala, but also countrywide. And some of the causes is higher taxes, they say, and also the EFRIS system that is not yet understood very well, mostly by the traders down there. So, and of course here I'm joined by Mr. Michael from URA and Mr. Abdul from KACITA, who is the Secretary General of the KACITA Youth League. And the discussion has been very, very interesting. Actually, I wish I can also give you what we were discussing during the break. But well, issues are so important and people just need sensitization, and I think somehow, somewhere, we shall be good to go. And now I want us to, because time is not our best, I want us to kind of wind it up. But my first question to you, Abdul, is what efforts do you think can be realized, can be made to engage in dialogue to have these issues sorted?
Thank you, Luke. I think as the business community, actually today we have focused so much on EFRIS, but we have 10 key challenges affecting the business community. Okay. However, in this fight we are leading, find the EFRIS system is coming to a forefront, but we also have challenges with the import duties. We have challenges with the Chinese invading the local market. Oh, yes. And we are seeing a lot of unfair business policies, how licenses have been issued to the different people doing businesses, especially the so-called investors who came to our country. So the key takeaway points and what we have to focus on so much is we need more engagements with the different stakeholders. That is very key. And then to URA, we need more sensitizations to come on board to really show, to make people understand that the policies you are trying to implement, they are not bad policies, but it is a matter of just understanding and adjusting to a new norm. Recently I was discussing with someone, and then I asked them, is this just a transition process that we are transiting from the analog going digital? Yes, we are going digital, but we really need to understand what is the key, what is really behind all the efforts being subjected to the new norms. Okay. Yeah.
Maybe Mr. Michael, how can a balance be struck between the concerns that are raising between the revenue collection or the revenue collector and also the traders down?
Yes, first I need to applaud the business community leaders, KACITA and the entire cohort for first towing the line of dialogue. We have dialogued since the start of the financial year, from actually before the start of this financial year. Around June 2023, we were already talking. And around that time, the discussion that we were mainly having was on how we make ready the business community for the new financial year and the measures. And we shared with the business community on the new amendments, the regime as it is. We have conducted joint awareness activities. And that is why the tone is enhanced. There are gaps in your awareness. You need to do it better. And that we are very much willing to do. We want to thank them for dialoguing with us. We call for continued dialogue. It is not ideal that businesses remain closed because they are at the pivot of many other operators. I've been reading the papers today, and you see a border man also not finding these circumstances comfortable because they are the guys who deliver items to and from the shops, and so the closure of business premises also affects their well-being in a way. the ladies who cook the food, who serve the food around the town, move it around, the saloon operators and many others are losing out in this entire thing, and it is a phase that we want to get out as fast as possible. It is my prayer that we meet and a point of agreement as fast as possible. To the business community, the commitment that we have is continued engagement. We will do our best to improve on the simplicity, to make it simpler to use the electronic fiscal receipting and invoicing solution. We hope that the guidance that we get from the Commissioner General, from all the other leaders, the minister, will put us into an agreeable, and the business community leaders, because it takes two to tango, will put us at a point where we can all forge forward and see the light of the next day. I want to thank you for hosting us, and I hope we can meet again to discuss on other issues that can build the business community, because the well-being, the wellness of the business community means a lot to the revenue mobilization agenda of the country.
Mr. Abdul, what role do you think stakeholders like government and the traders themselves can play in finding a sustainable solution to this issue that is happening currently?
First of all, stakeholders, the key thing they have to do, they have to give the business community audience, especially the fountain of honor, the president, the traders, and actually updating you. The traders, our subscribers, had even stopped us from yesterday, stopped us to attend any dialogues with either a government agency or an individual purposes until we meet the president, because all the people we are meeting, we are getting worse than before. We are not getting the solutions. The meeting yesterday, Michael was there, I was not there, but we got updates. We didn't get any solution from the meeting. That's why they had even stopped us. Don't engage with anyone. Our target is, let us meet the president, because when you meet the news in the past, like around 3 days, showed a senior minister stating that we have been meeting kids in the field, but let's go meet him. But even after the meeting, nothing came out. So as the business community, we are advocating for only one thing. To the government agencies, to the fountain of honor, the business community wants to meet you and submit their position and claims to you. Maybe that's where the solution will come from. Yes. And the traders are really determined. If it is to take 14 weeks to meet him, they are ready to close off till the 14 days elapse for him to meet the traders. Because even the communication we are getting, it is not documented that we shall meet him on Friday. We've not received any notification as yet. Neither an announcement has been made.
You have not gone for COVID test?
We haven't done anything. Yeah, actually, the key thing to meet the fountain of honor is going for a COVID test. But if they have not told you to go for a COVID test, that means we are still here, and it has to happen 48 hours.
48 hours.
So we haven't gotten any information.
Well,
so I submit.
Mr. Michael, are there any examples of successful tax reforms from neighboring countries that Uganda can emulate from?
I mean, the EFRIS is one of them, and that's why the countries I'm talking about are performing better on revenue performance than us as a country. You can look at the other being the digital tracking solution. It is working very well in Kenya. It's worked very well in Rwanda, in Tanzania. It's been working, of course, with a few challenges there. But yes, these solutions are actually working very well. There is the other reform on block management, which we have also implemented here. It started in Tanzania, where you manage these business areas as blocks. So you find someone having a block that covers maybe Chiseka, a block that covers maybe Nabugabo, focus in, understand them, their circumstances, context, challenges, and don't come with a blanket revenue administration model. Listen to them and give them solutions. This has worked well in Tanzania, and it is a thing that we would like to also adopt here. The mobile awareness offices, which we have as the Tujenge mobile bus, it is an innovation that we have seen elsewhere, and we are also implementing it here to support those remote office locations, remote locations like fish landing sites, and it is working well. Talk about the payment using USSD code. You just go on your GSM phone, Katochi, *285#, and you pay tax. Countries like Ghana have done this before. We are doing it, and it is a very successful intervention. Technology is the pivot driving all these reforms that I'm talking about, and it is helping so much these countries, including Uganda, to move forward, especially on simplifying the tax administration and tax compliance process. Tax is not easy in itself. When you make the process complex, you're pushing people far and further. And so we need to make it easier for them. It's the only way we will get everybody who is supposed to be on the revenue contribution table make their fair share.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much. Maybe as we wind up, I'm going to request each of you gentlemen to give us last remarks, starting with you, Hakim.
The last remarks, as the business community, we are ready, and we are still ready to close off all our businesses till we meet the fountain of honor. And this is day 2. We expect to deliver our petitions to the parliament today, and also have other engagements as they are moving on very well. So I advise the business community, all the key people, remain at home. Let's not waste the resources of the taxpayers' money, the tear gas, because what we requested police is to safeguard our property till we return to resume our normal businesses. Yes.
Mr. Michael.
Yes, I would like to implore the business community that we take opportunity. We need to take opportunity in engaging further. Let's talk. Let's find an amicable solution to this. The URA, the Ministry of Finance, the Ministry of Trade, Parliament. Let's keep engaging. We find a solution to this. I would like to also encourage that if we can find it convenient in ourselves as business operators, we can open up and continue engaging as we trade, because the many people who depend on the businesses as they are running will be affected if we continue along this path. It is a kind request that we hope the business community may consider as we keep engaging. On behalf of URA, our commitment remains to look into the gaps, the challenges in our services and offer. Visit any URA office. We are at Kampala Boulevard, we are at DTB, we are at Ham, we are at Akamwesi as you go towards Chebando, we are in Mukono, we are in many of these areas, and where you need support, you can engage with us. Call us on 0800117000 or send us an email at services@ura.go.tg, and we'll be very glad to attend to you at your own time in your circumstances. Thank you very much.
Oh, wow. And from an anonymous view, I want to say thank you so much for coming here and rectifying some of the issues, but also raising the concerns that are in the traders society currently, or the traders sector. We appreciate that you have also joined us over there, the viewer, and we hope you have picked something from this, and mostly importantly about the sensitization of EFRIS, a system that has not yet been picked by everyone, but could be good according to my view. But well, it is up to you to make use of everything that we have discussed. In case you've just joined us, please, you would go to YouTube and get that link and then follow the entire discussion as it has been. My name is Majumba Alinaitwe, and I want to wish you a lovely day.
The views expressed on this show are not necessarily those of this television or its management, but as of individuals as we hear them. Issues at Hand, powered by
Protea Hotel by Marriott